focused. I've been watching for the omens. I've been listening to everything you said. It's been running through my head, locked and loaded. I got the feeling that you know it. Yeah, I've only just begun. I won't stop until it's done, till you're broken. So welcome to the fire. I'm the one with the lighter. Feel it burning through your veins as we're walking through the flames, getting higher. So welcome to the fire. Welcome to the fire. Feel it burning through your veins as we're walking through the flames, getting higher. So welcome to the fire. I've been waiting for this moment, the final battle of the chosen. See, I'm never gonna quit, got my legacy set in motion. So welcome to the fire. I'm the one with the lighter. Feel it burning through your veins as we're walking through the flames, getting higher. So welcome to the fire. Welcome to the fire. Feel it burning through your veins as we're walking through the flames, getting higher. Welcome to the fire. Welcome to the fire. 'Cause the bigger they are, the harder they fall. You build your fortress and I'll climb your walls. You got your armor, but I see your flaws. So welcome to the fire. I'm the one with the lighter. Feel it burning through your veins as we're walking through the flames, getting higher. So welcome to the fire. Welcome to the fire. Feel it burning through your veins as we're walking through the flames, getting higher.
Yo!
What's up, everyone? How's it going? Oh, we did it, Patrick. We're online. We're live.
Yeah, we made it. Yeah.
We had some hiccups the last few weeks. Had to spend some of your money. Had to spend some of my money. Life is good.
Yeah. It's all good though, right?
Yeah.
It's all good.
Yeah.
Nothing to complain about.
Nothing to complain
Hey,
about.
you got the you have Patrick on Adam.
Oh,
And Adam on
yeah.
Patrick.
Well, we switched roles today. All right. All right. All good. Don't judge.
All right. I'm just saying.
Some people are
up,
saying
man?
no audio. Can you guys hear? People, audio's okay? Audio's fine. Brent
Somebody
says
says
audio's
accurate.
fine. All right. Good.
All
Good.
right. Hey, Brent.
Oh,
How's it
yeah,
going,
Brent is here, and he's already starting trouble. So, all right. So we got some questions coming in, folks. If you do have questions, be sure to prefix it with Q : so that we can spot it, because the chat gets a little crazy. I'm starting to queue up a couple that are there. Hope everyone is doing well, staying safe, washing your hands. Live.
And don't touch your face.
Try not to touch your face. I know that there's probably going to be instances where we do subconscious. Patrick, everything's good on your side, household-wise?
Yeah, man. Yeah. Everybody's just ready to get out the house a little bit.
Yeah, same here. Everyone's a little stir-crazy, but we're doing all right. We're right over here. Just another day at the office for us. So, all right. We've got a few things. So, a couple housekeeping items. First off, if you are members of the Guy in a Cube YouTube channel, thank you so much. We greatly appreciate it. Be sure to check out the community tab. There are member-only items that are listed there. So, like if you're at the mentor level or the mate level, be sure to check that because I've got some instructions there to take advantage of some of the perks. So be sure that you are looking at that. That's really the only way I have to communicate with you. So wondering how stuff works, that's how you're going to go do it. So check that out. Be sure to check it out. So also this last week, I was off on vacation. I still kind of am. So just not doing some work stuff, just decompressing a little bit. So we didn't really have any videos last week, and then the last two live streams were canceled. One was due to internet stuff, and then we had some hardware issues. We got Patrick set up. I had to rebuild my streaming PC, but everything looks like it's going solid right now. So green, and we're good. We did have a little hiccup in the beginning with the counter, so I got to fix that. Hopefully that's the only issue we have this week. So, all right. So, Patrick, got some questions here. So I'm just going to start throwing some up. We'll start with, like I said, Brent was starting to cause some trouble. So we'll start with Brent. So Brent first asks is, why is there more than one guy in a cube?
Why is there more than one guy?
Yeah, guy in a cube. Only guy. So why is there more than one guy, right?
Oh, man.
I'll let you take that,
ask Adam
Patrick.
that question. No, man. I didn't come up with the name. I just joined after all this stuff.
Yeah. So yeah, it's good. We actually get that question a lot. So thanks for throwing that out there, Brent. That was good. I know that you were guesting a little bit, but seriously, when I started this, I wasn't thinking that far ahead and didn't necessarily think it would go anywhere. So then Patrick came on and the brand was set. So much for that. All right. Then he had a follow-up question also of why is there no cube? Yeah.
Hey, cubes are expensive, man.
They are expensive. There used to be a cube. Now it is more in spirit only. So I actually looked when we moved into this house. I looked at actually buying a cube, and that was not cheap. So I opted not to, and it's going to be in spirit only. And so But yeah, so there's follow some questions that I get sometimes around that also is they're like, oh yeah, guy in a multi-dimensional cube. No, it was a cubicle. I actually wasn't smart enough to think about the multi-dimensional cube at that point. So yeah. So good.
Oh wow! Somebody just said something. Okay. Anyway.
So we've got Anna Marie's got a question. Created a paginated report that uses URL parameters, 8 params, list of 100 to 1,000. Wow. Because the URL is long, the report can't be generated. Any way to solve the limitation? Unfortunately, no. Yeah. So there's
no limitation.
Yeah. So in terms of the URL length limitation, that's a problem. So yeah, unfortunately, not good news there. So let's see. Next one. So Steven's got a question. I'm interested in starting my own database and reporting company for small businesses. And as a current business, any tips and tricks when starting out there? I would actually say we're probably not the right ones to answer that. I would love if folks could maybe chime in the comments for them. So from what we do, so our day job is we have day jobs. The guy in the cube is not a day job for us. It's kind of a side hustle for us right now. And so we're not really even we're not in full swing from a business perspective. So I don't know that we can. I don't necessarily have experience on that front. So I would definitely say there are resources out there you could go look at. But I don't know that we're a great person. So it's not about the cell commented learning Microsoft complex web of licensing. Yes. And then Alt-Enter, Stephen Alt-Enter said to DM her. So she's happy to have a conversation with you as well. So thank you for that. All right. Next one. Patrick, this is for you. You're the mobile guy. Does mobile web layout work when we publish the report as published to web? No.
It does not because you need to, well, if you embed it in an iframe, it's definitely not going to work because it's in a web browser, right? And so your web browser, however you design that web page, will need to accommodate that. But if you go directly to the link, I haven't tried that. If I create it and I share the link out with you, and then will it pick up the mobile form factor if I design it? I don't know. Let's write it down. Could be a good video.
Yeah, I don't think it will. My assumption is it won't work. So that's actually
back.
Okay. Patrick just left. Awesome. You.
I'm writing it down.
Okay.
Mobile layout.
Bye, Patrick.
I'm coming right back.
And some people are commenting also that direct link doesn't support as well. So yeah, I didn't think it would.
There you go.
I didn't think it would.
I hadn't tested that. Guy out of the cube.
Yeah, guy ejected the cube. So yeah. All right, I think I've got it. So just a reminder, folks, if you do have a question, prefix it with Q:, just so we can spot it. Chat is crazy. So let's see. Next one.
There was one I saw.
There was one? Right? Okay. I probably caught it. Which one?
It was about, and I'm actually working on this. So funny the question came up because I'm working on this right now. Yeah. Can you, like if you use a relative date slicer, do we have a way to just say, I want to pick a date, pick one specific date and filter everything just based on that date? And if you look at the little whiteboard right here, this is actually, I was trying to solve it last night.
You look at the whiteboard that we can't see. Hang on. Oh,
that's right.
There you go. Look at the whiteboard. I got it up.
Right there. If you look right there, I was trying to figure that out. And I have it solved, and I'm going to publish a video on it this week. So we don't support, like if I do can you switch to my laptop?
Sure.
Yeah, can you switch to it? Yeah. All right. And so like, check this out, Adam. So if you pick a date, can you guys see my screen?
Yeah.
And so if you pick a date you make it a slicer, This is the question. So sorry, I'm just really excited about somebody asking this question because I have it solved. And so if you pick like this range right here, I probably should use zoom it or something.
That would be.
I know this is a live stream. Bear with me.
Patrick's a professional.
Yeah, bear with. I am. So you see, if you have these two dates right here, right, Adam, and I only want to get a one date out of this relative date slicer, or if I make this a list, it's just all these long lists of dates, which is not efficient, right? It's just a waste of time. What you could do is you can set this to before or after, and then you can write a little DAX expression in the calculate to get the minimum date. If you're using, you got to think about how this works. This is a range of dates. So if I say choose before, it's going to be this date, all the way any date that's before this one. And if I choose after, it's going to be this date, and it's going to be all the dates after it, before, after. You guys get what I'm saying? Yep. And so you need to just choose min or max, which will give you that date, and then you can write a little expression in DAX. And I'm gonna explain this out in the video.
You're gonna do a video
this week or next week? Yeah, I'm definitely gonna do a video on this because we don't have. It would be great if the Power BI team would just do this. If they would, in this little drop down where they have the choices right there.
Yep.
If they would just put is this date, not 13, is. If they would just add that, right? If they would just add that. So I can choose a date, but I can't do that by default. But if you create a measure, you can do calculate, whatever the measure is, and then you can use a treat as. So it's like you're limited just to the minimum or the maximum, depending on if you're using before or after. Stay tuned to the video. I'll get it up this week or next week.
And there was
I went on a tangent there.
This is a little. I'm kind of breaking some rules here. There was a question. I was going through comments on videos earlier, and there was a question there about like, well, how do I default it to today's date?
Yeah. You could do it if you have a date. If you have a date table, right? If you have a date table, and I won't go through I have a video out there. If you create a date table and then you add a calculated column to that date table that says if the day on this row is equal to now, make it 1, otherwise make it 0, and then add that to the filters of that page and set it to true, and then it'll always default to that date.
Yep.
Boom.
Yeah. Good job.
Yeah.
Good job.
Yeah.
All right. Let's do. Let's go.
I'm gonna do it. You keep talking. I'm gonna do it.
You're gonna do it. All right.
You keep talking.
So, next question from Jamil. How do you feed a hybrid data set from Power Automate and only the latest record? So I'm assuming we're talking about a stream data set. Assuming. And so if you're using a streaming data set, you've got to turn historical on, and that will keep all the records. So it should the latest at that point, and it should have all the historical items as well.
If you say the latest record, so I'm assuming that
so if you want to keep only
the data set,
but so if you only want the latest record, you don't want that historical. And if you turn off historical, that should only keep whatever was pumped into it as the last one. So it should.
Yep.
All right.
Somebody made a comment about the day thing. You can in the relative day slice, you can also do. I think is if you set it to. There's an option to set it to last day or something like that. You can do that also.
Yeah.
Yep.
I'm starting to see some repeat items in there. If have already submitted something with a Q colon, I'm queuing those up, so I've got them. You don't have to re-ask the question. I've got it. Hang in there. All right. So let's go to the next one. So it's not about the cell. What all attributes are supported by mode.json, and why are the relationships and file system settings not supported yet? All right. I'm gonna be honest with you, buddy. I don't know. That's in terms of Now, when you're saying mode.json in terms of what attributes are supported, are we talking about like the JSON connector or in terms of what Power BI reads from a JSON perspective? Like what does it support? Model.json. Model, not mode. Okay. So we're talking about the analysis services model itself. So, right. Okay. That's a little more descriptive. Because I was like, mode.json. I have no idea. I don't even know. It's the regular JSON file. Okay. So, the model for the CDM folder. Okay. Still don't know. So, Patrick, I don't know if you want to write that one down too.
I'm gonna write this one down.
Okay, go write that one down. We'll take a look at it. I don't know that we would necessarily do a video on it, but yeah, not Azure AS. I got it. It's for the CDM folder. Got it. Yeah. So if you want to go through it and try, I don't know that anyone's actually documented those items, so that's one of those things that we would have to try, or I could probably go ask someone also. So it's and he's gonna be doing it. So awesome. All right. So next one. All right, Patrick, this one's yours, buddy. Incremental refresh.
What you got?
Do we need to always do a full refresh after deploying the data set so that from the next schedule refresh, the incremental refresh gets picked up?
Today,
a lot of stuff.
Yes, because today. So if I deploy it out and then I need to make some schema model changes and then I redeploy it, yes, today you're going to have to do a full process of the model. It's going to refresh all the data. With the XMLA endpoint, there's going to be some things that you'll be able to do to incrementally deploy. You'll just be able to deploy the schema changes and it won't affect the data. So you won't have to do it going forward. But right now today, you got to do
it. Yep. All right. Trying to grab the questions.
That's a good question.
All right.
Hey, this is kind of fun.
You like this? All right.
I do. I'm enjoying it.
All right.
You see my new setup. You see my new setup, right?
I do. I like it.
Yeah.
So Allison asks, how do you use one date dimension table to multiple dates in a fact table?
Oh my God, I got a video on that.
I think we did a video on it. I'd have to go dig it up to put the link. But if really, you can only have one active relationship, and so you would have inactive relationships on the other one. And then from a DAX perspective, you can use the use relationships function to alter which one's active. Specific. So the canonical example of this is in your fact table. If you have like an order date and a ship date, then both of those have a relationship to the date table, at which point then in your measure for calculating the shipped item versus order item, you function it over whichever relationship. So you'd have to do some DAX to do that, but possible. Good question.
Yep.
Anything to add there, Patrick?
Good question. No, that's good, man. That's a good question. You could use treat ass also.
You're gonna do a video on that?
Relationship. Maybe. Let's write that one down.
Yeah. Patrick's been having some fun with treat as. He's called me I think 5 times this last week. Like, dude, treat as is like amazing.
It is the end all be all. It solves all your problems in DAX.
All right. So Jesus asks, do you know if it is planned to be able to export data when you export to web? So if you're using publish to web, is there any plans to do that? To our knowledge, no. Great opportunity to highlight ideas.powerbi.com. So if that's something you want, be sure to, I'm sure that's out there on ideas.powerbi.com. So go vote it up. But I doubt that would ever come. Good question. All right. Utsav, hope I'm pronouncing that right. I wanted to ask about Power BI service report. If we can create data model, create publish, and create report and publish it, import mode, and after that, what is the max size? So in terms of the data set size, the for just pro users and free users, the max data set size compressed on disk is gig. So if it goes over that, you're gonna have failures. Patrick's got a what?
No, keep going.
Oh,
1 gig, right?
1 gig. All
right.
Right. I thought you were saying no. I've got a thought. And then if you're using premium, premium now the upload limit is still 10 gig. But after that, if you're using the large model support, you can go past 1 gig from a refresh perspective. So that's how you can get to those large models. And you have to use incremental refresh if you're going to go past that data set size. So that's possible. All right, next one. Let's do. Will we ever have multiple apps per workspace? Great question. I know we get hit up on that quite a bit. To our knowledge, no. But things can always change. Again, ideas@powerbi.com if that's what you're interested in. Make sure you get your voice heard. But today it's 1 app per app workspace, and so I have multiple kind of app roles. You'd have to have that content across multiple app workspaces and publish those apps out. And then a great use of one of Patrick's favorite features of shared data sets. They have that shared data set, have multiple reports in different workspaces, unless Patrick's actually working on a project and doesn't actually use that approach.
I am now.
Sorry to out you there. He called me up the other day. He was working on something for something COVID-19 related. And he's like, oh, man, this was amazing. And then there were like 3-4 people working on it. And he's like, oh, why didn't I split out the data model? He's like, this is horrible.
But now I'm on 3 new projects, all separated data sets. All separated data sets.
Yep. All right. So let me get a few more of these because they're like a few more of these queued up here. 1 second. The next question, Patrick, is really for you. I think you have the correct answer to this one. And he's waiting. He doesn't know what this is. Boy. Who has the better hair between us?
Oh, well, being that there's no hair between us, neither one of us.
What about our facial hair?
Well, mine is thick and lustrous, so there's a little sprinkle of gray there. Yeah. So
little salt and pepper.
Man. I don't know.
Salt and pepper.
I think we both have pretty good hair.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
All right.
The little that we have. We have.
Indian asks, can we create filters and parameters in such a way user first needs to select some... this is select the value and after the report load. Patrick, why don't you take that one?
No. You can't. Right?
I don't know if you saw in our pause on that question. We knew what was coming on that.
Parameters just don't work that way. Parameters, people... So I think the mistake or the confusion is when I think of parameter, I think of like reporting services or paginated reports or all the other non-in-memory products. They allow you to select the parameter, send the query back to the data source, and bring the data back. The way parameters work with Power BI is they're at the data set level, and so if I set that parameter, in most cases, right, that parameter doesn't take effect until I do some type of refresh on the data set. So you can't do it.
Yep. All right. So I'm seeing folks repeating the question multiple times. Please don't. We have them queued up, and actually causing me to go get it in multiple times. So please ask the question more, so we will try and get to it.
I'm sure happy I don't have to queue these questions up.
I know. It's a little nuts.
I'm sure happy I'm just answering them.
All right. Go to the next one. Go to...
All right.
That one.
What do you got?
I don't know how to pronounce this name. How can we pass multi-value parameters to a SQL database from Power BI report and Power BI service? There's a stored procedure, and we have to use parameters. Patrick?
You got to construct the stored procedure in that way. Depending on what version of SQL Server you're running. If you're using the latest version, there's a split function up there. Go ahead.
Well, I was gonna say also, if you're gonna call a store procedure, you're gonna have to use a native query as well. Ooh.
Yeah.
Ghost. Thank you for the called the.
I don't know what it is.
It's nice. Thank you for the badge, giving us some. Appreciate that, Yost. Awesome. Yeah. But yeah, so you're gonna have to use native query as part of that in order to call the store procedure, and then from a Power Query perspective, you can end up passing in those parameters. The problem you're going to run is related to the last question, though, with regards to you can't have that user interactivity, so it's going to be kind of a set thing at the time of processing. But there is a way to pass those items from a parameter perspective. Yeah. You've got to use Power Query parameters at that point.
Yep.
All right. Good deal.
What do you got, homie?
So if we create data model, I think we answered. Yeah, max size. So we already did that one. It was a repeat.
Yep.
All right.
Some good questions, though.
Yeah, Alexandra, can reports from Power BI Pro licenses sent to emails that are in the same organization but don't have a Pro license? The answer there is yes. You can always share. If you have a Pro license, you can always share reports to anyone. The problem is going to come in is if they don't have a Pro license. And see, I just saw it. If they don't have a Pro license, if they only have a free license, when they go to click on that report, they're going to get a lovely invitation to get a Pro license, unless the content is backed by premium. Content's backed by premium, then non-pro users will be able to see it. So the activity of sharing the report, you will be able to share it, but when they go to consume it, if they're a non-pro user, they get the invitation message, or they will need to have premium back content in order. So, good question. All right.
Yeah, that's a good question. That's a common question.
Yeah. It's always confusing on the licensing. Okay, so this question I know was asked multiple times. Getting to it. Cheval, single shared data set, the golden data set, Patrick's sweet mistress. Yes. What is the best location to store the measures when Q&A is to be used heavily? I'm not sure I understand, because
I read a blog post, or there was an article that somebody wrote about how if I create a measure, let's say I have a sales table, right? And I create the measure not on the sales table. And someone was saying it was some inconsistencies when they asked the question or went to, I forget what it was, but it didn't answer the question appropriately. And so I haven't tested this, and I haven't tried this out with Q&A, but my guess is you want to keep the measure on the host table of those columns, the main additive value where that column is stored. But that's something I'd have to test. I just read a blog post. I didn't validate any of that stuff.
One thing I know too is I believe, and we talked about this before, I don't remember if this was corrected, but with using Q&A, if you're going to use like a measure table, like that doesn't behave the way you want it to. That may have been fixed, but I thought I remember. I'd have to try it again. But if you're going down the measure table approach, don't do that. If you're wanting to take advantage of Q&A, I think there's some problems with it. Also, Analyze in Excel will have some issues with that as well.
Yes, that's what it was. Analyze in Excel. That's what it was. Yeah, you got it. You got it, dude.
Got you. All right. Caught up here. Still a lot of questions. All right, so let's go.
A lot of questions.
All right, this is probably one for me because Patrick does. Our take: do you like Legos? Yes, I do. I love Legos. Of course, I do. So I've got 3 of the big sets, and I've got the Millennium Falcon, 2 of the Star Destroyers, got a smaller Star Destroyer also. I love Legos. I don't like Legos. I love Legos.
Oh, yeah.
Love Legos. All right. So Akil asks MSCA certification update, please. Any new plans for certification? No idea. I know at least. I have no insight on the MCSA. Is it? I think it's MCSA, not MSCA, unless they change. I don't really follow the certification stuff. I definitely say go to the update. The website's going to have the latest up-to-date information on it, so check that out.
Yeah.
For the latest and greatest info.
Yeah.
Good question, though. I know everyone's. A lot of people like the certification, or they follow the certifications. So that's it's important to folks. Definitely, whenever that changes, I know there have been recent changes, and then it's not about the sell. Just published in the chat. It's pushed off to January 2021. The DA 100 was just released, so thanks for that.
Yeah,
Did it?
I don't know.
All right. When is Python R going to be available for refresh in the Enterprise Gateway? Oh, funny story. We were working with someone, and she may or may not be watching right now. I don't know. But she got all excited because she's like, oh my gosh, it worked in the Enterprise Gateway. And Patrick calls me and he's like, wait, I thought it. And I'm like, it doesn't. Like, it doesn't work. And then they went back and they're like, no, it didn't.
It doesn't work.
Got to use a personal gateway for that. I don't know. As far as I know, that's not anytime soon. So again, ideas.powerbi.com. Make sure you vote that up. And honestly, I don't know why it's not there, but it's not.
Yeah.
Good question.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah.
So Prajat asked, is Gateway just to verify credentials and provide connection, or the data actually pass through the laptop on which the gateway is installed? So the data actually goes through the gateway. That's the only way it can get to the Power BI service. So think of it like you have an on-premise infrastructure. Maybe it's your laptop on your desk, or maybe it's in a VNet out of Azure or AWS or whatever. There is not a way for Power BI to connect to that data. No way. And so even if it was only the connection string and the credential, once that went through the gateway, how would Power BI connect to the data? It can't. So what happens is that the request goes into Azure Service Bus. The gateway sits there polling Azure Service Bus, and then it will connect to the data source, get the data, it comes to the gateway, and then the gateway pushes that back up through Azure Service Bus and then onto the Power BI service, actually the data management service at that point. So, yep. So it's everything goes through the gateway if you're using the gateway. Question.
Yeah, that's a good question, though.
All right.
Yeah, that's a good one.
All right, Ujab asked, what is the impact of inactive relationships on Q&A? And so...
He just can't respond.
Well, it depends, though. It depends on the measure, right? So...
How you wrote it. If you use a user relationship or treat as or something, it'll respond.
If it's going off of the measure... Yeah, so Q&A typically is going to key off of the dimension attributes. That's how it knows how to translate the words. And so the value that it's going to come back is the measure. That is going to be the actual data, and so that should still display fine. I mean, they shouldn't bother it at all.
But
go ahead.
But if the measure isn't written appropriately, right, you could possibly just get a Cartesian product back because that's an inactive relationship. Yeah, potentially. Yeah.
All right. And ask. Golden data.
Oh, I like this song.
You like it?
I do.
Nice. By the way, I've got 4 pages of questions. Yeah, your new headset.
Jeez. Huh? Yeah, it sounds great. See my new headsets?
All right. So, Bhagavathi, how to dynamically change the table structure by hiding columns. No joy there.
You could do it. You could do it with some DAX and some filters, and I mean, there's some effort behind it, and there's some articles out there where people talk about it. You definitely. Right,
so it lots of video ideas. Well, so it also depends on what you mean by hiding columns. So if you're looking for like object level security to enforce like what columns are available, now that the XMLA endpoint read-write is out, you could potentially take advantage of that. Although I don't know if the object level security yet is supported on data sets yet. Hopefully that'll come. If you're using Azure Analysis Services or Analysis Services on-prem, you could use object level security as part of it to hide the columns from a security standpoint. But dynamically changing the table structure, that depends on, you'd almost have to have a measure that's doing like a summarized table or something like that to dynamically affect it. Now, you start doing a lot of that, you're potentially going to run into some perf problems as part of that. So just be aware of that. If it's something simple and it's not overly complex, it should be okay. As with all things, test. So, good question.
Test. Yeah.
All right.
Man, there's so many questions. There's so many questions.
How best can someone start learning Power BI? Guy in the Cube, of course. So
yeah,
our YouTube channel, definitely. We do have a course that's available that you can purchase if you're just getting started with Power BI. It's a great course that you can take advantage of. So if you go to actually, let's see if this works. Didn't work. All right, I busted it. I was gonna put something on the screen, but so if you go to guynacube.com/courses, you can get to that. I had something pre-wired, it didn't work. So sorry. Also, if you go to powerbi.com and go to the learning section, there's a guided learning area, which goes off to Microsoft Learn area, which is a great way to do it as well. There are books and stuff out there. Definitive Guide to DAX is a great book to learn DAX and also how the engine works. It's not light reading. And then there's a lot of MVPs and partners out there that have a ton of training as well. Different YouTube channels, a lot of blogs. Check out the weekly roundups that we do on Mondays also, because we have links out to different blogs and stuff that have content as well that you can do. So lots of stuff to learn. All right. Good. Luis asks, how we access to a Power BI app or Power BI report file stored on the service, but from Power BI Pro desktop? So the answer is you can't. So the Power BI desktop itself is self-contained, and so you can publish to the service, but you can't consume a report from the service. You can with Power BI Report Builder, right? So you could, right? Is that right, Patrick? Yeah. Honestly.
Yeah, because you can connect and store it and save it, but
or paginator.
It's not. It's still.
Paginator.
It's still the disconnected experience, though, right?
Yeah.
It's not what they're thinking.
Yeah, you make your update and then you save it back to the service.
Yeah. You can't do it. You can't do it.
Not today. Ideas.powerbi.com.
Yeah, I think I saw Chris Finland fly by.
Did you? All right, I didn't see it. Oh, there he is. He asks, how exactly are you for sub-report next? Oh, how excited are you? Sub-reports next week.
My jazz hands. That's how excited I am, Chris.
Jazz hands. Thought you said something else for a second. But, all right.
No.
All right. That one I already asked. Duplicates. Okay. Ashley asks, how to have one report support multiple currencies where the currency selected changes data in the visuals. DAX.
And then if you were using Premium, you could use XMLA endpoint. And I was reading an article on SQL BI. I think it was SQL BI. You can use calculation groups.
Yeah. Yep.
Yeah, there was something they did. I have to go. Yeah. It's a way they did it, but it was interesting. Yep.
Yeah. So but yeah, from a DAX perspective, you could get the selected item. So you could have a slicer that selects the currency and then gets selected item and then or selected value, and then base
Selected
your
measure.
Selected measure. And then at that point in all of your measures, you just key off of that and filter based on that perspective.
Yeah.
Display which one.
Yeah. Oh, that's a good video.
Write that down. All right. Let's see. Orlando asks, any good resources for improving report performance? How to use and understand the output from the performance analyzer? So So we have a couple videos on DynaCube. So if you search for performance, you should get them. One was with Phil Seamark. We've had a couple with Marco as well in terms of how to do that. Also, Marco and Alberto over at SQLBI.com. If you go to SQLBI.com/TV, they've got some performance videos you can go watch as well. Definitive Guide to DAX also has some information in there. So there is information out there on how to do performance troubleshooting. So take a look at that. Excellent. All right. Next one. Eddie asks, will the REST API be extended to support getting users from data sets for you? By getting from data sets from a REST API perspective.
I don't know what that means.
I don't know what that means. So there are APIs where you can get the users that have access workspace perspective and or from a data source perspective from the gateway. The only thing I could think of is if you mean data sets in terms of like who has access to, like who has permissions to the data set. In that case, that's not available. So I would say go to ideas.powerbi.com for that. Skimming the chat here real quick, but I don't see a follow-up from Eddie on that to verify. So if you're looking for who has access to the data set, that's not available today. And that's something, ideas.powerbi.com. So you can end up getting like who are the members of a workspace, and then you can kind of discern that, but that doesn't tell you necessarily like added someone as build rights to the data set. Not necessarily. So Eddie clarified it was the permissions for the data set. That's not available today. So definitely go to ideas.powerbi.com. Excellent. All right. This one, Mark Timpson. With XMLA endpoint available, with incremental refresh, able to download and pull a whole PBIX.
Because you weren't able to before.
Well, what do you mean?
Sure. So when you set up incremental refresh, you can't download the PBIX.
I don't think that's so. From a UI perspective, that's still going to be disabled. If incremental refresh is there, it's not going to let you download it. So, and I don't know.
You can get the schema, right?
You get the schema, yeah. So if you connect to, you get the model schema, but the report, you're not going to be able to download that. But that's another good example of why you should, disconnect and use a shared data set at that point.
Yeah, that's right. So, that's right.
Yeah.
You took the words out of my mouth.
Yeah, no. So incremental refresh is still going to block downloading the PBIX. That one. All right. Damu, can you please talk about general issues you've seen with bidirectional filters in real-world customer scenarios? So one of them I know offhand is I do recall one where there was a performance impact just by having bidirectional turned on and enabled. So that's definitely, there is performance overhead by doing that. So definitely measure that. From a bidirectional relationship perspective too, the biggest thing, so there's a couple things where I see people try and enable bidirectional relationship. One is either drag items from a table onto the report canvas. All the values show exactly the same. So we think, oh, well, that's because the relationship's going the wrong way. I turn on bidirectional relationships and bam, hey, that fixed it. Well, didn't necessarily, it may not have fixed it actually. The data may still be wrong or not what you were expecting it to be. So you got to validate that. The other scenario where when I've talked with customers that are using bidirectional, the reason that they wanted it was because they wanted to have almost like that cascading slicer feel to it. And so what I've told customers is don't use bidirectional relationships for that. If you want those,
Hey man, your mic's cutting out.
Ooh.
Your mic's cutting out.
Hello? it okay?
Okay. Yep. Yeah.
Good.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah.
Everything's all right.
You cut out again.
Let's
I'm just telling you, right?
I know. All right. Let me know if it gets really bad.
Okie doke.
Okie doke. All right. So what I tell folks to do is if we have a slicer, let me go ahead and just a slicer. Slicer. Drop down. So like if you have multiple slicers, on the other slicers, if you go to the filter tab, when you select that given slicer, you can have you can have a filter on the visual or visual level slicer. And so make sure that you're using that to handle that cascading slicer perspective instead of using bidirectional relationships. This is a better approach to doing it. Anything to add to that, Patrick?
Ambiguity, right? Ambiguity. Yeah. Those bidirectional relationships can make it difficult for the engine to answer the question because there's multiple paths to answer the same question. And so you'll get a little error, a really good error actually saying, look, I can't answer this question. There's too many paths. So that's something else. Circular, right? You create this circular relationship. So be very careful with bidirectional. Don't use them unless you really know what you're doing.
Yes. Yep.
Yes, I said it. You heard it here first.
But and the other thing is validate your data, right? Validate your data. Use Performance Analyzer before you publish a report to see if you've got that performance bottleneck. So those are all things you should do if you're using it. You know, there was one scenario where we were talking with Marco because Marco Russo is he's don't use bidirectional relationships unless you know what you're doing with it. And there was one scenario Patrick was working on. We were working with row level security on the doing dynamic row level security on the table that had the users on it. We're like, Patrick's like, man, I've been racking my brain I took 5 showers trying to figure this out. And, you know, that like, I don't know how to do this without either using bidirectional relationships or creating a bunch of
cross-reference tables.
Yes. And so he emailed Marco, and Marco's like, all right, man, how do we not use bidirectional relationships on this specific scenario? And the answer was, no, bidirectional relationships. So that was, but it was on the outermost dimension, right? So we didn't use it anywhere upstream from that. So, all right. So Orlando had any plans for export file functionality of REST API to be supported on non-premium embedded capacity? For file, I mean the exports, the actual.
You broke up. You keep going in and out.
Yeah.
Keep going.
All right.
I'll fill in the blanks.
So the exports API to export the PBIX, that should work across the board.
Yeah.
I don't know what else you're looking for there. All right.
It should work.
A lot of good questions.
Man.
All right. Prajat is gateway. Oh, we already answered that one. All right. Asked, how do you reset hybrid data set from Power Automate by simulating the toggling on-off of the historic switch?
Yeah. I don't think they expose that through the API, right?
Nope. There's not a way. So ideas that PowerBI.com.
You have to go do it.
Yeah, it's a manual.
And that also deletes the data out, right? So if you toggle that off, it restarts your data set. So I saw that message come like 1,000,000 times. How you delete data, you turn it off, it clears the cache, it clears all the data, right? You can't go and say, I want to delete one row from it. You just can't do that.
Yeah. All right. Good deal. Feel like that. So Vomsi asks, is it better to use Power BI in direct query with Azure Analysis Services, direct query mode, instead of using Power BI with direct query on a SQL database? So the Do you want to take that?
No, go ahead. This is a good one. Go ahead. This is a good one.
So if you're using direct query, you're using direct query from a model perspective. And it's a question, do you want the model in Azure Analysis Services? Want the model on the Power BI dataset size? Power BI dataset model or the Azure Analysis Services? And so you could potentially use Azure Analysis Services with direct query against SQL and reference that from a Power BI perspective, from a report perspective. It should work. In terms of performance, I think we looked at that a long time ago, and we didn't necessarily see any real difference. There are a couple factors that would come into that. Azure Analysis Services, if it's in a different data region than your Power BI tenant, and you've got added latency between Azure Analysis Services and Power BI. So that's something to consider as well. Again, with all things, your mileage is going to vary depending on your model, what SKU you're running on the Azure Analysis Services side, what you have in the Power BI side. My general recommendation is try and do it in a Power BI data set, unless you have a specific need that you need to go with Azure Analysis. Yeah. So, I don't know if you have anything to add on that, Patrick.
No. That's good. Latency is the big thing, right? Latency and the distance and stuff like that.
Yep. So, Nish asked, so I want to learn Power BI. How best can I start? Again, just referencing back to what we talked about before. Definitely guiding to keep videos, guided learning. We've got a Power BI blueprint course. You're just getting started with Power BI. It's a great course to go through. And then there's lots of other stuff out there. Good. So Mark said that they signed up for the DA100 beta, the associate analyst. Any suggested study resources? I don't know. I don't know what's actually in that test. I would imagine some of the general study guides for data modeling and DAX and Power BI usage in general, like all of that stuff will apply. So any of those references that are out there. I know there's some books for the old Power BI certification as well. Those may be some good items to pick up. So that is. So I just caught in the chat some people asking when we're going to write a book about Power BI. No. No plans right now. I think Chris Wagner's stoking that up a little bit. So no books. But there are books out there, Mark, if you want to learn. I don't know that there's anything targeted for that certification yet because it's still in beta form. So it just depends on figure out the topics that are in that report and then go look for either books or blogs or videos on that given topic. That's what I would do. All right.
Hello, Brazil. Hello, Brazil.
The world. Hello, world.
It is the world, man. People are everywhere. Right? Yeah.
Yep. All right. Don't know that we're going to get through all these questions. Definitely not. I still got 3 pages worth of stuff.
Jeez. You got 8 minutes, man. You got 8 minutes.
8 minutes. I know. All right. Innocent Ula, is there a way to create a dynamic parameter using query for a report that is already published without using a gateway? If so, is it possible to get a demo? So I don't know necessarily why the gateway is coming in. So a dynamic parameter from a query perspective is always from a processing standpoint, never user interactivity. We talked about that a little earlier. So no.
I did a video a long
I don't know that the gateway.
Ago.
I don't think the gateway comes into that at all. No.
Unless they're going to on-premises data, right?
Well, sure, but the parameter itself is a Power Query function. It's not dependent on the gateway.
Yeah.
So your data source may be dependent on the gateway.
Yeah, I don't know.
All right. All right. Let's see. So Patrick, how do you delete a streaming data set?
Go open up Power BI service and go and delete it.
Yeah.
But I think he's saying delete from streaming data.
Oh, how do we delete from it?
And
you can't. Just toggling the historical thing purges the data set altogether.
Yeah, you can't do anything else. You can't do anything else.
Yep. A lot of repeats here. Sorry. Also, all right, this one. Is there a way for a conditional bookmark so that I could use it to show only tabs that I want to show? There's no concept of a conditional bookmark. I don't know. I mean, so bookmarks are the way that you toggle or that you can set those displays, and then you would use something has to trigger the bookmark. So it'd be a button of some kind that would then trigger the bookmark. Good.
Yeah, I don't know.
Refresh this a little bit. Where are we? All right. How do we access Power BI app or Power BI report? Oh, that's a repeat. All right. A lot of repeats. Man, the repeat. I just got crazy and started anything.
Yeah, you got a couple of people. Chris Wagner.
Chris. Yes, thank you. Laura, thank you so much for becoming a mentor versus becoming a supporter. Yeah. Excellent. Thank you so much. Appreciate it as always. Love it. So Joaquin asks, how can we have Power BI or Guy in a Cube and Power BI stickers? So typically we've had those at conferences that we're at. Obviously right now that's not possible. I'm actually, so we can't actually sell Power BI stickers because it's Microsoft's logo. We can sell Guy in a Cube stickers and we'll look at getting that, but typically those are better from a bulk perspective. Otherwise they're a little more expensive if you're buying an individual one. Stay tuned on that.
If you see us at a conference,
definitely.
When the world goes back to normal. Yeah.
Yes.
You see us at a conference, just tap me on the shoulder. I always have some in my backpack.
Yep. All right. MSK8. When filters are set to different visuals, when you click on one visual, the second visual also takes the first visual filters. After that second visual filter is changed to first filter, how do you stop? So my thought is edit interactions so that they don't respond to each other. So if you go into, let's see if I can show this.
View, go to view, right? Or format, view or format.
I've got selected it. Format and then edit interactions. So if you have that visual selected, edit interactions from the format area, and then you can define how it responds to other visuals. And then you can actually, so if I select this, you'll see I guess that's not it.
Mm-hmm. Select like the map.
Edit interactions, there we go. And so I've got my table selected, and so then I can say, hey, don't filter these items, right? And I can selectively do that for each visual. So if you have a lot of visuals that you want to control that with, that can be a little tedious, but that's how you would do it. Yeah. Back.
Oh, man. Okay, dude. You got 2 minutes.
I got 2 minutes. All right. So
you got 2 minutes. Make it a good one. Make it a good one.
Oh, man. Pressure's on. All right, here we go, Patrick. This is one for you. All right. Jamil asks, how do you change the decimals to integers on a streaming data set? It seems there's no number formatting either on online Power BI or in desktop.
So, you know, he's right. But what I do and what people don't realize you can do, you can connect to a streaming data set with the desktop. And the only thing you can do with that streaming data set is create report level measures, and you can actually do some formatting of that number at that point. Beyond that, just the column itself, you got no control, right? Yep. Except for when you're creating the data set.
Yeah,
but you can connect to it and make some slight modifications. I don't know if that helped, but
report level
you can
measure.
try that out.
Yeah. Yep. All right. I think that's going to do it. We're going to try and do one of these Q&As.
Silent, my friend.
What?
I cannot hear you at all.
Are you serious? Can't hear me? at all.
Headset died.
Oh, your headset died. Okay, I'm like, I didn't change anything. All right, Patrick's headset died. Awesome. Well, good timing on the headset. So we're going to try and do these live Q&As. We're going to do them, try for once a month. We're going to try for the beginning of the month to do those, and then we'll have live streams on specific topics. So thank you, everyone, so much for attending and watching. We loved all the questions. Sorry we didn't get to everyone. We tried to get through the ones that we could. So stick around or come back next Saturday for our next live stream. We'll figure out what the topic is for that and get that posted. Stay safe, everyone out there. We love you, and we'll see you in the next video.